I just read a verse from the Quran. It's basically 35:18. Uh, and the verse says, whoever purifies themselves, they only do so for their own good.
Right.
And to Allah is the final return. In the context of this verse, and what you just told us from the top of your lecture as well, can we not infer that we are no ones to judge whether somebody is a Muslim or is not a Muslim, or if it was a Muslim and now became a non-Muslim, and take revenge against them, versus in the light of this verse, it's Allah who will determine and judge, and we should leave the judgment to Allah versus us taking the decision.
Absolutely. Actually, this verse that you've mentioned does not only, clarify the point that you are making, and I completely agree with you. Who are we to judge anybody else? Honestly, I mean, I want to tell my Muslim brothers and sisters that whenever you judge somebody else, you are being arrogant. God is not going to spare the people who are arrogant. For God's sake, have mercy on yourself. I mean, how can I judge anyone? All that I can do is to tell others and, help others understand that, what you're saying is not correct. This is my understanding. These are my arguments. To claim that somebody has actually gone wrong and deliberately, knowingly, wow, this is only the Almighty who can do it. Not even the Prophet ﷺ used to do it. So that's one point. But I want to just bring home another important part of the understanding of the Quran through what you've mentioned. Purification is what this verse mentions. That is the ultimate goal of the Almighty's religion. This purification you are expected to have how much? As best as it's possible for you, given your circumstances, given your limitations. So, whom am I to judge? And this purification has two aspects. One is intellectual, and the other is moral. That is why the Quran keeps saying, Allazina amanu wa amilus salihat. If you are intellectually honest and the message is presented to you properly, you will believe. If not, then you will accept whatever is true. And likewise, you are to be morally upright. So, people who indeed become non-believers at the time of the prophets are not pure. That's another thing that I would like to mention in response to your question. That generally speaking, the principle is that all nations, all societies, all religions, all sects have both good people and bad people. That's the law of averages, which is, again, an inviolable law. Except, you know what? Except in the case of the messengers. Because of this law that we are talking about, because of the application of this law, towards the end part of the prophetic mission of the prophets, the messengers, all good people come close to the prophet. I'm not saying all people who come close to him are good. Some are hypocrites. They are then shunted out. And all evil people, they distance themselves from the prophet and his company. This is an exception. The great, big, horrible, in my humble opinion, I've been very strong, I mean it, blunder that many Muslims have committed is that they have unjustifiably generalized what was true in the case of the times of the messengers. That is one big mistake that the Muslims have committed. And as a result of it, what has happened? What has happened is what a famous philosopher said, probably it was Bertrand Russell, said, as I mentioned earlier, all societies have good people and bad people. Good people do good things, bad people do bad things. Wow. And he goes on to say, it goes to the credit of religion and religion alone that it sometimes causes good people to do bad things. Uh, Unfortunately, he's right because it's misunderstood. So imagine good Muslims hating non Muslims. Why? Because they're non Muslim. And this is because of not understanding the Quran properly. And this is because of not understanding this law properly. What a good advertisement of this law. Maybe I've not been able to explain it properly, but honest to God, I mean, understanding it or not understanding it makes or breaks.
So my question is, how can we gauge our Iman? Is it with the knowledge we seek? Does it have any correlation with the increasing of Iman? How Iman is reflected? Is it in the Amal only, or there is some inner feeling? My question is, I mean, I know it's a confusing question.
I understand what you're asking. I think it has got to do with both. I think it is a feeling deep inside, a feeling of contentment when you're saying your prayers, when you're reading the Quran, you get a feeling that you are comfortable, you believe in it, you are getting more and more confident, you feel the presence of the Almighty, you're praying to Him, you're saying sorry for the wrongs you've done, while you have kept your intellect open, while you allow others to criticize you. But yes, it also has got to do with your performance as a believer, as a good human being. You're saying your prayers, you following all the expectations of Islam, and even before that, you are being a good human being. So obviously, when both are there, then you should feel comfortable that, alhamdulillah, your faith is there. But never feel overconfident. As I said earlier, it's bound to fluctuate. There are ups and downs. You do not remain the same strong believer all the time. I will, inshallah, mention verses of the Quran to support some of the claims that I have made today.
Just one more side question. When somebody makes a Toba, immediately after doing whatever he does, and he promised himself and promised to God that he will not repeat it, and then he just couple of days he may keep on saying astaghfar, and then he believes, okay, I did what Quran says. Immediately who makes Toba and come to Allah, seek his maghfirat, so his sin is forgiven and good deeds are written instead.
So he does something wrong.
Enough? Is it enough?
So he does something wrong and does Toba and feels good about his Toba and then goes on to repeat that evil again. Is that what you're asking?
No,
No,
he doesn't want to repeat, but
yeah.
Maybe Shaitan takes over, he repeats, but at that time when he did something wrong, he say, okay, I'm promised myself I'm not going that way even, which takes
when
me.
He says that I promise that I'm not going to repeat it, and he is ashamed of what he did, there is serious, genuine remorse. The Tawbah is done and over. Shaitan comes later. Well, Shaitan should come later. After all, what else is the duty of Shaitan? So you're going to fight Shaitan, and it's an ongoing battle until the day of judgment. If he is able to successfully again incline the person to do evil, again another Tawbah is going to be warranted. So each time you do Tawbah sincerely, you are, alhamdulillah, forgiven.
Just last side question, if you have time.
It has to be the last question.
A very small
question. This is a warning to everybody.
Yeah, it's a small question. Because as you mentioned in your earlier talk, that the person will be accountable for the knowledge or the resources he has to reach Allah or understand Allah. So does it mean, I'm not saying it mean, but I'm just asking the question, will it mean or can it be taken as that people who are seeking knowledge, who are getting more, getting scholarly, attending scholarly meeting like this one, are they exposing themselves to stringent test and stringent accountability because they have more resources now than the normal man?
15th point. You see, the thing is that when you seek knowledge and you get it genuinely, it is not just that you get true knowledge. Don't underestimate knowledge. Knowledge is light. You also get the strength, the capacity, the ability, the inclination, the motivation to follow what you have learned. So this is Shaitan telling people, don't learn God's book. Because if you're going to learn the book, you will have to then follow it. Well, your learning is going to enable you to follow it. So, I mean, it's going to be a shame that a person just relents to the, whispers of Shaitan and says that, you know what, I'm a very ordinary person. I don't want to learn more, because if I'm going to learn more, I'll have to follow it even more seriously. Well, you will get the ability to follow it properly, provided your knowledge is really genuine.